Get started. Hello, everyone. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Kirk Udovich, the Mayor Pro Tem of Lyons. Unfortunately, Julie, who really wanted to be here, can't be in two places at once. Right now, she is at Dr. Cog down in Denver, making a pitch for the town to receive additional funding that would provide monies for our match for the phase 2 of the Main Street project. So keep your fingers crossed on that. They will be making a decision tonight, so hopefully we'll be getting the decision that we're looking for. So you get me instead of Julie, sorry. This is our second community-wide meeting on the Lyons long-term recovery plan, action plan. A lot of work has gone into each of the working groups to get us to this point. And on behalf of the board, town staff, and the whole community, I want to thank each and every one of you for all of the time and effort you've put into this. It's a huge commitment, and we really do appreciate it, and we couldn't do it without you. Tonight we are providing an opportunity to get your input on all of the work done thus far. Regardless if you contributed by being a member of one of the working groups or multiple working groups, or even if you didn't participate in any of the working groups, this is now your opportunity to provide input. Remember, this is our plan. This is the community's plan, and we want everybody's opinion, and it counts. So please, please write a lot of comments, ask a lot of questions. And actually, right now, what I would like to say is a reminder for all the people that are in the working groups, when you are back at your tables, if you can please make a name tag and put it on and put your group name underneath. So when people do come around to your group and want to talk and have issues or questions, they know who to ask or who to talk to instead of them looking and I'm not sure who to talk to. So thank you for that. So you will have additional opportunities to comment on the plan in the near future. This is a continuing process, including we'll have official public hearings at a joint PCDC SFC meeting, which will be held on March 24th. And there'll be another public hearing at the BOT meeting on March 31st, where hopefully we'll be adopting this plan. Keep in mind that even after adoption of this plan, the plan overall is meant to be a living document. This can be updated and to best serve Lyons as we see fit. So this is our chance to participate in moving our town in a forward direction. So once again, thank you all who are taking such an active part in our town's recovery. Lastly, I was told there should be a special table where staff can help with individual concerns and or problems, especially for those who are continuing to suffer from this horrible disaster. And I'm not sure if that special table is in here in the church or is outside in the lobby. It's here in the...
No, Kurt, they're going to just go to the Health and Human Services.
Oh, okay. So address your questions to Human Services group, is that it? Okay. So right now, I want this process to continue on. I'm not going to take any more of your time, so I'm going to hand the mic over to Michelle Allen. She's the chairperson for the PCDC, and she is going to talk to you about our planning process and where we go from now. So thank you.
Hello, I'm Michelle. Great to see everybody here tonight. Good turnout. So I'm going to repeat a little bit of what Kirk said just because we want to pound it into your heads to give us lots of comments tonight. But I am going to talk about the opportunities coming up for you to give input into the process and then what our next steps are for the planning process. So as you know, there are 8 recovery groups, and each one focused on a specific topic. And when I'm done talking tonight, Victoria is going to come up and she's going to give you a brief overview of what each of the groups are doing. She won't go through everything on their list because that would take too long, but she'll give you an idea of the types of things they're working on. And then when we're done, when she's done, we'd like you to go back and look over those lists again and write lots of comments on those comment sheets. You were handed a sheet as you walked in. You can pick up more at the tables. You can fill them out tonight and drop them off at the tables. You could also, if you wanted to take them home and bring them to the town hall in the next couple of days, that would be great. But we do ask that you turn in your comment sheets by Friday. And this is because over the weekend there'll be a group of volunteers who will take all the comments and put them together and provide them to the different working groups. And then those working groups are going to meet for the last time next week. And that's another opportunity for you to provide input. If you want to go to the working group meetings, please do. They're open to the public. You're welcome to attend. See what they're going to think about the comments. They'll be finishing up their recommendations. And if you go to the Lyons Recovery website, there's a calendar, and the calendar will tell you when and where the groups are meeting. So you can go to one or more of those groups next week. But at the end of the week, they'll finish up their work, and then all the people working on the plan will basically take all the different sections of the plan and put them together into the recovery plan. That will be available on March 17th, and I believe you'll be able to get it on the website and then also pick up copies at Town Hall so that you can review it. And then, as Kirk said, the next step would be that the Planning Board and the Sustainable Futures Commission will have a joint public hearing. That will be on March 24th. That will be a week after the plan is made public. And we will hold a public hearing that we encourage you to attend to provide comments there. So that's another place for you to provide input. That will be on the public record. And those comments will be given to the Board of Trustees, so they'll know what people said at the Planning Board hearing. And then the Planning Board and the Sustainable Futures Commission will each make separate recommendations to the Board of Trustees. We will either recommend that the plan be adopted with amendments, or possibly thrown back for further comment later, or more work. And then the last step would be that the Board of Trustees will meet on March 31st. They will also hold a public hearing, and you can come in and comment at that public hearing. They will do the same thing. They'll either adopt the plan, they may adopt it with amendments, or they may not adopt it on that evening. So the question then maybe comes up for you: what happens after that? The recovery working groups will have finished up their work at that point, and they've done a lot of work. The recovery plan, if it's adopted, is adopted as part of our town's comprehensive plan. And it basically contains, as you can see from these stations out here, a list of action items. And those action items will be assigned to each of the existing boards and commissions and task forces in the town to carry out those action items. They won't necessarily do them themselves, but they'll make sure that they get done. So if you're interested in that ongoing recovery planning work, there are some openings on the boards and commissions, and if you go talk to staff, they will let you know where those openings are, and come and be on a board. So I just wanted to again repeat what Kirk said. The recovery plan isn't set in stone. As the boards and commissions work through the action items, they will be modifying them, improving them, tweaking them. There's still a lot of work to be done. So with that, I'll just leave it, and Victoria will come up and walk you through the working group work. Thank you.
Thank you, and nice to see everyone again. Tonight, they've given me very strict orders. I'm to stay on script and get out of here on time. So I want to again say thank you to everyone who's been involved with the recovery working groups. As we all know, it has been a very time-intensive 4 weeks. It's taken a lot of personal commitment and time away from your families and other priorities in your life to work on this. And looking around the room and doing a quick head count, it appears we have somewhere between 350 and 400 people here again, which really shows the commitment this community has to recovery. And this is just another one of those milestones along our recovery process, and I'm thrilled tonight to kind of get to share with you the results of all the working groups so far to date. Prior to that, they said I could take just a few minutes to give you some updates of things going on around town in case you've been wondering about things. I've been getting some questions. First of all, in regard to infrastructure, the 2nd Avenue Bridge is out for bid right now on the repairs to those piers under that bridge. And we hope that by the end of this month, we will have a contract in place and they will be repairing the bridge on a temporary basis and opening both lanes for the summer until we determine if it's going to be replaced with just permanent piers or if we're going to be able to upgrade to a free span bridge on 2nd Avenue. So that's what's going on there. The big pile of rocks that you see over in Bowen Park are all rocks that are going to be used for stream and creek restoration. And so you have seen that pile grow tremendously, and now it's starting to go back down. So we are going to be looking for another site to put more rock. So you might start seeing some rock piles show up around town. As CDOT is blasting along Highway 36, they're going to, if we will help store that material, we'll be able to keep those boulders and rocks for future projects. So if you see some other piles show up around town, it's a good sign. So watch for those to pop up. The Public Works Building, we've been told that the site that used to house the Public Works Building will not be able to be used to replace that building. So we are looking for a spot, and you'll find out when we go through our priorities that the Public Facilities Group, that is going to be their #1 priority, is to try to find a new site location for that building. So if any of you have ideas that we may have missed, we're certainly open to those. The library is currently in the visitor center, and we are needing to relocate that before visitors start arriving for the spring and summer season. So we are also, as a public facilities group, looking to find a location for a temporary structure for the library to be in. The decision's been made to restore the Depot Library to its historic integrity, and that could take up to a year. So we will be housing the library out of a temporary building. 3 locations are being looked at right now. That hasn't yet been determined, but we do want to get them in a better, larger location so they can start having children's programs again, getting more of the collection out. So you'll see that pop up somewhere in town here in the next month, we hope. Arts, culture, and historic preservation. As I said, the Depot Library will be brought back to its original stature, and also the shelter that's out in Meadow Park that was so severely destroyed. It has been decided we're going to replace that as well. It won't be in the exact same location. We need to remove it out of the floodway, but it hopefully can remain in Meadow Park somewhere and bring it back to as much of a historic integrity as we can get from the remains that are there. The stream, we are applying for funds to help private property owners along the river through town for what's called private property debris removal. And so if you live along the stream and you have significant debris that is creek debris, we will be notifying you soon that there might be funds available to help you with removal of that debris. So be watching for that. The town has decided to be part of Boulder County Master Stream Corridor plans, as well as our Ecology Board has come out with a very detailed stream plan as well. and I think you'll hear about both of those in tonight's presentation. Parks and Recreation, we have several grants out right now for restoring our parks, and we were notified today that Governor Hickenlooper will be back in town on April 9th, and we will be hosting it's called GOCO, it's Great Outdoors Colorado. That's the lottery funds that come through Colorado, and those portions of those funds go to fund Parks and Recreation. So the town applied for a special round of $1 million grant to help restore parks, specifically Meadow Park. And we were notified the governor wants to come to that hearing that day, so I'm hoping that's a good sign that maybe we'll be getting some big money toward recovery of Meadow Park. So that's good. We also have 2 other significant grants in for Parks and Recreation, but we're not nearly as far along in that process as the GOCO grant. In regard to housing, thank you all for filling out the needs assessment in that survey. We had significant response to that survey. Actually, the company that does that said, you know, they don't usually see responses up in this 60 to 70% of a community range. So really great numbers. That survey actually arrived at about 3 o'clock today. So the results have not gone public yet, but hopefully within the next couple days that will be up and online so that you can see the results of, it's already there? Rebecca's so good. It's already there. So when you leave tonight, the housing needs survey results are posted on the Lyons Recovery site and the website. So you can watch for those results. Also, Boulder County has set out an offer to provide us pro bono services to put together what's called the 404 Hazard Mitigation Program grant. Now that's the buyout funds we've talked about. They are going to be working with us over the next about 4 weeks to put together an application for folks that are interested in having their properties purchased, if you're located in the floodplain, and if you have or have not substantial damage. Either way, you may be eligible for that program. So again, you should be seeing lots of information coming forward on that program. In regard to human services, I was asked to share with you that it's very, very important that everyone who's been impacted, especially those substantially impacted, that you sign in with Health and Human Services, which will be back over here, and make sure that you get what's called financial counseling. This is a service that's going to be offered to everyone, and it's really important you take advantage to know how this is going to have an impact on you and your finances, and we need to take advantage of the folks that are familiar with the programs out there, and that's available. Also, mental health services are still available Monday through Friday through the end of this month, every day from noon to 7 at Waltz South. So if anyone here just wants to stop by and visit with someone about your experience or anything, it doesn't really matter what, you just need to talk to someone, they're there to do that. They also are still giving out vouchers for private mental health counseling sessions outside of that setting. And again, those you could pick up back here after this session if you'd like to do that. Talk to Jocelyn. Where are you? Where is she? Oh, way back there. And then a couple other just general comments. People keep asking, am I supposed to still be tracking my volunteer hours? We really want you to track your volunteer hours. So we want you to continue to work with Jeremy and Ed. Where are you guys? Hands up. Oh, they're in the back too. Anytime you're volunteering your services, it's really important that we continue to track those. Some of them, especially those during the emergency times, can be used to offset the town's share of what we have to pay toward our emergency. Beyond the emergency protective measures, those volunteer hours, we still want to track them so that we can just record the amount of effort that this community and the volunteers that helped us get through this. So continue to track your own, and at some point when you can meet with Jeremy and Ed, get the forms and fill them out. Lyonsvolunteers.org is where you can also do it, get the form online. And then we don't want people to, we want people to know that the town is still planning to apply for what's called CDBG, Community Development Block Grant Disaster Recovery Funds. And again, we're working with all of the municipalities within Boulder County to submit a application to the state to receive a portion of what is currently allocated, which is nearly $63 million toward community development grants. And there is a strong hope that there will be a second round of money that could be 3 times that much coming later this summer. So we just want you to know we are working diligently to try to find every avenue of funding available to our community to help us with all of these wonderful objectives that you're going to hear here in a minute. So I was asked not to take questions at this point, and I'm not going to be taking questions as we go through the PowerPoint. So if you do have individual questions that you want to ask me, I'll be milling around afterwards too. Just come and find me, or there's several staff here if you have questions about things happening in town. So today's agenda. Our purpose for tonight is to give you an overview of the current initiatives that we are working on, the principal issues that were identified in each of the 8 working groups. We know that some of those groups had lots of priorities. I think the stream team had 11. We've asked every group to give us their top 3 tonight. So what you see is not necessarily all of the work that they've done. We have currently 50 program development guides, which are the worksheets for each project that people want to pursue. So we're looking at 50 priorities right now. Tonight you're going to see those top 24 of those issues that people feel would help toward our recovery. And then for each issue, there's going to be 3 action plans. Following that overview, then we are going to have an open house forum, so you can go to any of the different tables behind you to give extra comments, to ask questions of the members of that recovering working group, or to fill out just a comment form so that we can get further feedback on the direction we're going. The goal tonight is to focus on really a community level recovery and strategies. We're not going to be dealing with individual cases tonight. If you are still in individual need, again, we ask you to visit with the Health and Human Services booth and make sure that you have some form of case management to assist you, as well as individually offline. There are many, many people out there who are willing and able to support. So tonight's going to be community level recovery. We aren't going to be talking like design or funding tonight. That'll be the next step. Tonight is just really broad brush. Okay? So we're going to start tonight. Dylan, you ready to go? With the infrastructure working group, and I am not going to read these slides to you. So I am going to let you read as I just make some basic comments for those who learn better by hearing versus those who want to read. The infrastructure working group has identified 3 issues. The first one is that the town is and has deficiencies in regard to our potable water distribution and our wastewater collection systems. And those were present prior to the event and even more present after the event. They have identified the action strategy to work towards that is to develop plans and implement improvements identified in the wastewater collection system and the water distribution system. Give you guys a minute to read. The goal number 2, the issue identified was the need for a multi-hazard mitigation plan. And they identified that we need to develop an all-hazard mitigation plan, including emergency communications kiosks that could be located on each of the 6 islands that we now know we have in town. Cisterns, so there's emergency water backups. They'd like to do a state-of-the-art emergency siren and communication system so that we're prepared for all sorts of disasters and emergencies. And the third goal is that our storm water drainage system has inadequate capacity. And they would like to update the town's current stormwater master plan to reflect the post-disaster conditions, provide resiliency, and would like to include restoration of the ponds over in the McConnell area for stormwater retention and recreational use, and drafting for fire protection. So those are the top 3 issues for the infrastructure working group. Okay? The second group is the public facilities working group. They've identified their top issue as the public works facility that's been destroyed, and the need to ensure that it is located and reconstructed using hazard mitigation principles, of course, but also in a way that is efficient and effective for providing public works services. The second issue is that the town lacks sufficient meeting space for administrative functions and public services. Any of you that have been meeting with me in Town Hall know that. My goodness, there's every nook and cranny in that building is meetings. So they have identified one of the action steps is that they would like to determine the feasibility of a new multi-use community center. And thirdly, the third top issue for public facilities is that the existing library is insufficient for the community's needs and was severely damaged during the flood. They would like to enhance the new library facility as a community resource and as a strategic hotspot to support businesses, residents, and students. So those are the top 3 issues from the Public Facilities Working Group. Oh, okay. We can clap after each one. We can do that. The Stream Recovery Working Group, again, big group of people, lots of interest in this one. They have identified their number 1 issue as the beauty and the function of the stream has been damaged, period. They would like to develop upstream detention and retention on the South St. Vrain to Boulder County open space as a means of flood mitigation. Their second issue is the town needs improved collaboration to the watershed and to the region to minimize upstream and downstream impacts. They would like to restore, I think I missed one. They want to restore and improve McConnell ponds, we talked about that, and the surrounding wetlands to attract wildlife, encourage recreation, and mitigate. They would also like to replant native riparian vegetation along the streams, shape stream banks to allow for future flood events and heavy spring runoffs. And that kind of goes along with their third issue, which was the ecosystem and wild areas along the stream are needing to be protected. They want to, as well as replanting the riparian vegetation, they'd like to minimize the slope of the river banks to decrease sedimentation and to add bioswales to improve water quality. So those are the 3 issues and action steps for the stream teams. Under Parks and Recreation, which is so important to all of us, the number 1 issue was safety and accessibility concerns for the town's park, recreational venues, and river corridor. They have identified an action plan first and foremost, to restore and enhance Meadow Park and then Bone Park. The second issue has to do with the extensive damage to the park system, the trails, the camping areas, playgrounds, picnic areas, and how that is affecting the quality of life and the ability to generate revenue for our community. And so after restoring Meadow and Bone Park, they would like to restore and enhance the Lyons Valley Park, which is also known as McConnell or the Ponds area, and the recreational access to the river corridor in general. And more detail of those are listed on the screens behind me. And the third issue for Parks and Recreation was the disconnection of the local and regional trail systems. The damage that occurred just disconnected us from other areas. And so their third action has to do with all sorts of steps needed to restore and enhance the trail system. So those are the three park issues: safety, accessibility, improving the damage, and reconnecting us on our trails. Okay? The Housing Recovery Working Group has identified three top issues as well. One of those is the issue regarding making sure that all decisions that are made about how the town develops and its new growth limits or potential growth limits are decided upon in a consensus-driven way. And they would like for the community to develop a vision for what housing might look like for us in the future. The second issues has to do with the need for a range of housing types and styles and prices that residents can afford in order to move home. And we all know, and you'll see through this needs survey, that we live in a region that has very expensive housing, and we need a variety of styles and types for folks to be able to get back home. Also, they would like to look at expediting the regulatory permitting process for house rebuilding and recovery. One of the action steps that they've listed is to encourage and facilitate people's return to Lyons by identifying temporary housing sites and encouraging affordable, permanent replacement housing. And the third issue has to do with protecting our present housing stock from future natural disasters and to make them more resilient in the face of disaster. And so the action steps for that involve encouraging public-private investment whenever possible, and to make sure that people are informed on the possible risks of where they're living. Okay. The next recovery working group tonight is Health and Human Services. They have identified, first and foremost, that health and human services are not even addressed in the town's comprehensive plan, and feel that it should be. In addition to that, they would like to see the Board of Trustees appoint a Health and Human Services Commission as a formal commission for our community. Similar to Parks and Rec Board and Planning Commission and those sorts of things. The second issue is the need for additional information and the provision of and the coordination of human services as needed in our community. And they want to make sure that all citizens are well informed as to how to access health and human services, not only in our county, but to try to get some of those more of those services located in Lyons. And then thirdly, mental health and wellness services are insufficient, especially to our seniors and our youth. And in regard to meeting the needs of our Lyons community during this disaster. And so the action strategies for that have to do with addressing and providing resources for mental health and physical wellness issues. Okay, ready? The next area is arts, culture, and historic preservation. They have identified their top 3 issues, one of which is the minimal promotion of artistic and historic assets and the unique community environment in which we live. And so they would like to respond to that issue with marketing and attracting experts to Lyons to promote the community as a creative hub. And you'll see some new, if this one makes it through the final adoption, you'll see some new applications to become what they call a creative district, and some of those things that bring in some dollars to market our creative industries. The second issue has to do with the lack of opportunities for young people to be engaged in the arts, culture, and historic preservation efforts. And so they have identified that they would like to see the creation of a kind of a standalone arts and music school, which would draw even more young people to our community. And thirdly, the lack of a venue for to create, exhibit, and market the performing and visual arts in our community. And so they would like to see us develop a live, work, and sell space for the creatives. Some of you may have heard of that term and others not. It's one space where someone can actually live and have a studio and have a space to sell their wares in one location. And in addition to that, they would also like to see us develop lodging opportunities for people that want to participate in the arts to have a place to stay when they're doing so. So those are the 3 top issues for arts, culture, and historic. And then last, but certainly not least, is the Business Recovery Working Group. They've identified their number 1 issue as the need to attract new customers and to businesses locally while retaining our small town feel. So they would like to host more events with an events manager that would be able to have a professional way to attract more people to our community. Their second issue had to do with business continuity and resiliency, and the need to be able to access capital when they need it for industries and businesses. And so they would like to create opportunities for local businesses to thrive in Lyons, and they've kind of coined a term called Keep Lyons Local. And meaning that they want to find ways to market for folks to do their shopping locally, do their business locally, as well as attracting people from the other areas to come into our community. And then their third issue was the need for additional lodging. We've heard that before, to support visitors and the tourist economy. And so the action steps have to do with replacing the lodging units that were lost during the September flood, and to streamline regulations that would allow that to happen more easily. So those are their top 3 issues. So what we'd like to do at this point is we want to give you the opportunity. You should have gotten a piece of paper when you came in. It's a place for you to write your comments. Again, you're only seeing a very, very brief synopsis of weeks of work. And only the top 3 items, as best we could, to put those together to try to synthesize what each of those groups identified as their issues. So we would like you to take a few minutes and write down some comments that you might want to give any of the groups, like, did you already think about this? Or I think this is more important, or whatever it may be. Thank you, whatever you'd like to write. And then we want you to go and we want you to visit each of the stations that you have an interest in giving more input into. And as Trustee Udovich asked, we want you to put on a name tag if you've been in a working group, so people know they can come to you and ask you questions about what your group, the discussion was about a certain item. And there's a comment box. You're welcome to put your sheets in the comment box, or you're welcome just to talk to individuals about their top items that they've come up with. And then again, there will be options if you think of something after you leave here tonight, or you share, the PowerPoint is now online as well. When you go home tonight, that will be there. And so if you want to share it with people who are unable to come and they want to give comments, there'll be an online forum to do that as well. All right? So we want to wrap up. We want to give you about an hour to be able to go to each of those groups and talk with people and make sure we're getting all the input you want to get, because we know many of the groups met 2 or 3 on the same night, so it really wasn't possible to go to all of them. And so we want to give you that opportunity. I do have a few minutes. Are there questions about the process tonight? Okay, good. That's a quiet group. You guys usually have questions. We will not be coming back together yet tonight. After we break up here in a few minutes, we just want to give you the opportunity to give input, further input into groups you may not have had the chance to. So as you're sitting here, why don't we just even take 5 minutes? Maybe we can run through, Dylan, maybe we could go through the priorities again, the issues for folks, and you can glance up as they come up. So we want to let you know where different groups are in case you're not wanting to go. Oh, not that quickly. They're not speed readers, Dylan. So over in this far side is business recovery working group, and then it's health and human services, arts, culture, and historic, parks and recreation, infrastructure, public facilities, and streams. Oh, and housing is here. So take a few minutes, think about some of the things you heard tonight, and if you concur with those, let folks know, and if you don't, let them know that as well. Items? Mm-hmm. Yes, on the posters at each of the stations, correct me if I'm wrong, all of the priorities are listed. That is correct. So we only showed you the top 3 up here. The rest are at each of the stations. Okay? Yes? Online has all of them. Has the actual posters on them. So that's there as well. We are going to take input from the public through this Friday. So if you want more time to think about it, or you can't stay tonight, or if you have neighbors that you want to get involved, we'll take comments through this Friday online or drop them off at Town Hall. And if you want more sheets, those are on the website too. Mm-hmm. On the home page of Lyons, on Lyons Recovery, there is a link up in the top right corner. So if there's no more questions, I want you to just be really proud of the amount of work we've gotten done in 4 weeks. Really amazing. Some of you recall the comprehensive plan, 2 years of work on that at least, if not more, 3 maybe even by the time it's done. And so we did a lot of work in 4 weeks. We're going to complement our current comprehensive plan with whatever is adopted by the Board of Trustees for this. And there is one other announcement I guess I'd like to make, because I doubt that we'll be together as a group within the next month. We are facing Board of Trustees elections the 1st of April. And we have had several people take out packets, what do they call it? Petitions and packets, but we could still use a few more. So if any of you loved this civic involvement, I'd encourage you to consider running for a Board of Trustees or mayor position. And while we have these fine folks behind us, I think we should say thank you to them for giving up the last 2 years. So, oh, thank you. That's nice. So, while you're standing, those of you who are ready to go give your comments, please feel free. Those who want to sit for a bit, we'll run through the PowerPoint slowly, so you can look at that a little closer. Thank you again for coming. Think spring and stay Lyons strong.